Hello everyone, welcome back to the Kotlin Crash Course. So in the last episode, we explored basic operators and expressions. Today we are diving into an essential topic in program called control flow using conditionals. Conditionals are commands in programming language that handle decisions. They allow your code to behave differently based on specific conditions, making it dynamic and responsive. Before we dive in, guys, if you enjoy this content, please support the channel by liking and subscribe. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about if statement. Conditions in programming are like decision making in real life. For example, depending on the time of the day, you choose what meal to have, either breakfast, lunch, or supper. You might decide to study. If it's weekend, you decide to relax. You decide when you are driving, you decide whether to stop, slow down, or go based on the traffic lights color. In programming, you can instruct your program to behave differently in different situations using if-else statement. Let's see the syntax or how can we write an if-else statement in Kotlin. To write an if-else statement in Kotlin, this is the syntax. You first begin by typing the keyword if, and then you open and close a bracket, and then inside of the brackets you type a condition. So this condition is actually a Boolean expression. So in my previous videos I talk about operators and expression, and I explain what Boolean expression are, so you can check. So we use comparison operators to create the Boolean expression. So check it out in the video, in the previous video in the playlist. So you bring your keyword, if, your bracket, and then the condition, which is a Boolean expression. This parenthesis, you bring your pair of curly braces. Inside the curly braces, inside these curly braces, you type the body, and the body, this is the expression or the statement that will be executed when this condition evaluates to true. You get. So let's see an example. Let's test voting eligibility. Let's say we want to determine whether a person is eligible to vote based on their age. In most countries, the legal voting age is 18. So how can we use if statement to check whether an individual is qualified to vote or not? So you begin, let's create a variable called age and set it to 20. Then we can start checking by typing if, inside, then we bring a bracket. Inside the bracket, we make a condition. So our condition is age is a greater or equal to 18. And then based on this condition, if this condition evaluates to true, we'll execute this print statement. To create an if statement, you bring your if keyword, then your parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, you bring your condition, which is a Boolean expression. Then you open, and then you open another curly braces. Inside the curly braces, you place the block of code you want to run. When we run this statement, because this variable age is greater than the value here, then the statement, this condition will be true, and therefore this statement will be printed. I'll run it, see the result in the console. So this is the result. You are eligible to vote because this condition is true. Let me change this condition to say this variable value to 16, and let's run it and see. Okay, so as you can see, this you are eligible to vote was not executed because this condition is false. Okay, I talk about if else statement. Let's see how you can add the if else part of it. What if a person is not old enough to vote? You can extend this if statement to take care of that condition by adding an else keyword and then a curly bracket. You do it like else, and then you open your and close your curly bracket. Then you can execute another statement over here based on the condition. So this is you are not eligible to vote. So in this case, when this condition evaluates to true, this part, the first part of the if branch will be run, and then if it is false, then this part, the else part, will be run or executed. So let's test it. Now that the age is 16, which is less than the usual voting age 18, it will evaluate to false and therefore print the else branch of the if else statement. Let's run it and see the result. So as you can see, you are not eligible to vote. If I update this to 30 and I run it, you see since 30 is greater than 18, this part of it will be printed, which is you are eligible to vote. So this is the basics of if statements in Kotlin programming. This is the fundamental value. But this statement can be extended. We can have chains of if statements. We can have nested if statements. Basically, this is it. Let's try by extending this code to see how we can evaluate for another else if statement. Let's extend this condition to check for senior citizen, and it's usually 65 years. Let's check whether someone is qualified to vote. Is he a senior citizen, so that we can give him a discount or a preference treatment. So to do that, you add another else. Okay, so let's start with creating a new variable for voter age. And I'm checking the condition if voter age is greater or equal to 65. If it is true, print. So I just copy this one and paste it. So you can vote and you are eligible for senior citizen discount. Senior citizen. Okay, this is the if statement. So let's add another else. So here you can bring another if statement this way. Then check a different condition. So we are coming to check if the age, let's say voter age, is greater 18. So I'll copy this and paste it and then edit. So here I can say you can vote, but you are not eligible for senior citizen. So you can vote, but you are not eligible for senior citizen. I can bring my else block and then say you are not eligible to, also not eligible for. So let me edit this. You are not eligible to vote, cannot vote, and you are not eligible for this for senior citizen discount. So when you look at this code carefully, this is what it does. If the person is 65 or older, we tell him he's ready to vote and also entitled to senior citizen discount. If the person is between 18 and then 64, we tell the person that he can vote but is not qualified for senior citizen discount. And if the person is under 18, this is it. So if you are under 18, that's the final part. If you are under 18, then you are not eligible to vote or entitled to the senior citizen discount. So as you can see here, you can append over here. We can decide to append another if statement to check. We can decide to pen it here to check another condition. So we can go on and on and on and check all conditions until we exhaust all conditions. So the limitation of this if statement is based on you. It's based on the conditions you want to check in your program. We talk about if statement and we also talk about if else statement. So let's look at if statement, if else as an expression. So in Kotlin, if else statement can be used as an expression. This means it can return a value. This is why we don't have ternary operators in Kotlin like in other programming languages. So when you come from other programming language background like Java, C++, they have a conditional syntax called ternary operator. But in Kotlin, we don't have, because the if statement can return a value, which is an expression. I explained what expression in my previous video. You can still check it out. So it's an expression. Since it's an expression, you can assign the value it returns to a variable. So let's create a variable called max. So we want to determine the maximum or the biggest value among these two variables. So we create a variable called max. Then we can make an if statement like this. Which is let's say it's 20 greater than 30. If it's true, so if it is true, we want to return 20 is greater, we want to 20, else we return 30. So we can create a variable for these numbers. So first number, so let's say first number is equal to 20, and then another variable for second number is equal to 30. The first now second. So if it is the first, then we return the first. If it is not, then we return the second. So in this case, we are checking is this number greater than this. If it is true, we can then assign this variable. So the if statement will return the value in this variable, assign it to this max. And then if it is false, to return this value instead. So let's print the value max and see what value it's holding. So let's do it some. Let me add some string. We can print the maximum is, let's run it. So as you can see, the maximum is 30 as we compare this. So this also explains that let me teach you something here. So this is a pure if statement, but you can realize that we remove the brackets, the curly brackets around it. Yeah. If you have one statement or expression, a single statement or expression in the body of an if-else statement, you can remove curly braces around it. So I mean this. So this is the condition we are checking. So we're supposed to bring our open and close bracket, but in this case we did not. And then here too, we're supposed to bring it this way. So we're supposed to have the if statement all wrapped in here this way. So we're supposed to have our if keyword, the condition, and then the body in this curly bracket. Why Kotlin is we're supposed to have the if keyword, your condition, and then your body in this curly bracket. If it is one statement or one expression, then you can remove the curly bracket. You can remove the curly bracket and then just use the value. This makes your code more readable and then less false. And you can also arrange it in one line. This makes your code so sweet. It looks nice. Okay, so this single statement also you can change it to one line by removing the bracket since it's a single statement. So you can get it to this. We'll remove. Yeah, this is also correct. Because of this reason, we don't have ternary operators. So this is for those coming from other programming language background. Let's look at the second conditional in Kotlin. This is called when statement. In Kotlin, when you deal with multiple branches, you can use the when statement instead of if else statement because it improves readability. When statements are preferred when there are more than two branches to consider. The when statement in Kotlin is a powerful alternative to the traditional switch statement found in languages like Java, C++, unlike a simple if-else ladder, which can become difficult to read with multiple conditions. The when statement provides a more structured and readable approach to handle multiple branches. So in a case where you have chains of if-else statements, like you need to check several conditions, first one, the second one, third one, in that order. It is advised that you use when statements over if statement in that case, because it makes it more readable. So whenever you have more than 2 or 3 checks you have to do, then make sure you use a statement or expression. So the syntax for the when expression is quite straightforward. First, you use the keyword when, and then you pass a single value through the parameter. The value is then evaluated against each of the conditions here sequentially. The corresponding body of the first condition that's met is then executed. Each condition and body are separated by the arrow symbol. Let me take it there. For the syntax, first you have your when keyword, then you have open and close bracket. Inside this bracket, you in a value. This value will be used compared against this condition in sequential order. So you have your value that you want to check over here and the condition. So the first condition, first body to execute. It means when this is true, execute this. When this is true, execute this. When this is true, execute it. And then this symbol, this arrow symbol, separates the condition from the body. So let's see an example of how to read a when statement. So first you use your when keyword inside that. Before then, let me create a variable for traffic light color. Light color. So the color of the traffic light will determine whether the car should move light color. Then I'll come here. First condition is that is red. If it's red, I'll separate it with the arrow and something like that. Since it's red, if it's blue, I'll duplicate this by pressing on Command D. Keeps yellow, low. So when we run this program, we are checking that this variable or this value can it be found in any of these conditions? Does it match any of these cases? If yes, then you execute this part of the code. This is for single statement. When you have multiple statements, you have to wrap it in a curly bracket and print other things like linking. So I'm just typing something to show you that you need to wrap the whole thing, calibrate this if you have multiple. But if you have a single line, you can just write it this way and you are good to go. So since the red will match this case, let's run it and see the outcome. So as you can see, it matches red and it's blinking. So let's see what of if the color cannot be found. Let's say purple. So when we run, let's see what happens. So it won't run because it doesn't match any case. Similar to if statement, you can also use else in when statement to serve as catch it all. So in case it doesn't match any of these cases, you want to print something else. And that one will inform you that none of your conditions of interest matched. So you see it this way. Let's say invalid card. You can invalid card. Put it in a print statement, right? So when you run invalid card, it will print invalid. Now you can also use else here to serve as catch it all when none of these conditions matches. It will print invalid challenge. So let's look at when expression. When statement can also be used as an expression. So let's see an example of that. So this is when expression. So let's say a value of we have a variable should be equal to when. I think I'll just you let me type. I just have so anytime you match this condition. Let me copy it. I think I'll just do this and get that. Use the variable. I'll use the string stuff. Get ready. Premise go. So this is how it works. So this it is just like this, the first one, the when statement. By this time round, we are assigning the body to this variable or action. When this variable or the value is checked against these conditions, anyone that it will match, that variable or that value or the body expression here will be assigned to this. So let's point the action and then see the action that it takes when it matches the case. So let's print the action. I think it will print invalid. Invalid color. So you printed in invalid color. So one thing you have to know about the I think I'm doing mistake by printing this here. It's supposed to be a string, not a print this. So one thing about expression that anytime you use when expression, you have to add else branch. You have to add an else branch to avoid getting unexpected value, because when you don't have, for example, this case, if because currently our traffic light color is purple, as it is purple, if we do not include the else block and we run it, none of the value here will be assigned to this variable, and what the contents of this is unknown, or it will be honest, it will have an unexpected value. And if there's like this statement is depending on this variable, this statement is depending on this variable. So in case, for example, it's a calculation and it expects the value to multiply, but as you run it, there's no value, it will result in an error. So you need to be careful whenever you are using a statement as an expression. You have to always include the else part. So what are some of the best practices when using if-else statements and then when statements or expression? When using when as an expression, make sure to include an else branch to handle unexpected cases. This ensures that your when expression